Welcome. This screencast is all about how you can keep your project geographical. This is really important because you're doing a geography project. It's also quite tough because you've only just started learning geography at secondary school. But we'll cover everything you need to know in the next few minutes. An important thing to bear in mind is that by keeping your project geographical, you're doing good geography. And ultimately this means you'll be hitting higher national curriculum levels. Now, there are 5 main aspects to being geographical. 1 is places, 2 is human features, 3 is physical features, 4 is change, and 5 is investigating. Now, if you have a look at your project tick sheet that your teacher gave you, it's also on the VLE if you can't find it right now, you will see it is divided up just like this. Section 1 is all about place, Section 2 is all about human features, Section 3 all about physical features, Section 5 is all about change, and Section 4 is all about how you found out your information. We call this investigating. So the top tip here is if you stick very closely to your project sheet and you tick off each thing as you do it, you will be keeping your project geographical. Okay, aspect number 1 is place. This is about where things are. Geographers show this using maps. The most important thing about using maps is to use ones at lots of different scales. So for example, you should include a world map, a map of England, and a map of Reading and Berkshire. However, there are lots of other scales of maps that you could include. You could include a map of Europe, you could include a map just of your neighbourhood, the few streets around your house. It's also good to use aerial photographs. These are light maps but pictures taken from the air. The most important thing, however, is to add labels to each of these maps. Without labels, it's just a map that you've put in your project. This slide summarises what you should do for Section 1 on the project tick list. Okay, where could you find out all of this information for Section 1? A good place to start is Google Maps. If you go to www.google.co.uk and click on the Maps in the black menu bar at the top, you would then get a screen that looks like this. In the search term area, put in the place that you'd like to search for. In this instance, we've looked for Calcott, or you could put in your postcode. Google Maps won't let you copy and paste, so instead use Print Screen button on your computer keyboard and then paste it into your document. Don't forget to add labels. The second place you can find maps is using a Google image search. Again, go to Google and on the black menu bar click on Images. In the search bar, write in the name of the map you'd like to look for. I decided to look for a map of England, and these are all of the images that came up. I need to find the one that best suits my needs and click on it. From there I will copy and paste, or I could right click and save as. Don't just click on the thumbnail and copy that because you'll get a very low resolution map. The third place you could find good maps is actually on Wikipedia. So go to www.wikipedia.co.uk and in the search bar, write on the area that you'd like to search for. In this instance, I'm looking for Theale. When you find the map on the Wikipedia page, right click on it and then copy and paste, or right click and save as. Finally, you could use an Ordnance Survey map. You can ask your teacher for one of these and then you can cut it up if you'd like to. Okay, the next 2 parts of being geographical are human and physical. This is how geographers divide geography up, and it is how geographers think about the world. So, to do a geographical project, you need to divide your project up into human and physical. Human geography topics might include population, transport, housing, jobs, services and shops. And if you look closely, you'll see that this matches Section 2 on your tick sheet. Physical geography includes rivers and lakes, woodlands, open areas, wildlife, and again this matches Section 3 on your project tick list. My top tip here is to divide your project into human and physical and to use these as section headings. There are podcasts on what you can do for a good human investigation and what you can do for a good physical investigation. Remember to check these out. The fourth part of being geographical is looking at change. Change is the bit that makes geography so exciting because it's about what's new. It's about what's about to happen or has happened recently. When we think about change, geographers do it in 4 steps. Step 1 is to describe the change. So, for example, IKEA is proposing to locate at junction 12. So, we may describe IKEA. We may describe where it wants to locate. Then we go on to the second step, which is explain. So we have to explain the change. We may say why IKEA wants to locate there. For example, we may say that there isn't one in Reading at the moment. Reading has a large population who will spend money at IKEA, and because it's very accessible because it's at a motorway junction. Then we go on to step 3 and we try to analyse this change. This means looking at good and bad points. So, for example, a good point is that IKEA will bring jobs. However, a bad point is it will also bring traffic congestion. Sometimes we can decide if IKEA locating or a change is better or worse for an area. Finally, geographers look at points of view. This means what people think. You could find this out by asking your mum, your dad, your teacher, your friends, or if you look carefully you may find out views of politicians or, for example, the directors of IKEA. Section 5, being geographical, isn't about another thing to look at, it's about how geographers find things out. The word for this is investigate. Investigating means asking questions. What's happening here? Why is it happening? What's good or bad about it? And what do people think about it? Can you notice that these questions fit with the 4 steps for looking at change on the last slide? That's because they're geographical questions. Now, there are 2 ways that geographers find things out. The first one is to use primary data. That means finding things out for yourself. This may include interviews, questionnaires or surveys. The second way that geographers find things out is using secondary data, and this means looking at what other people have already found out. You might look in newspapers, you might look on websites, you might look on Wikipedia. All of these different ways of finding things out will be covered in lots of detail in the next few podcasts. Okay, so to recap on everything we've looked at, there are 5 aspects of being geographical: place, human features, physical features, change, and finally investigating. If you follow these 5 geographical areas for your project, you will do a good geography project. Good luck, and don't forget to check out the other podcasts.